Welcome to Truck Chat, a video interview series coming to you from Work Truck. I'm Lauren Fletcher, executive editor of Work Truck, and today I'm here to talk about one unique truck. This episode is sponsored by Isuzu Commercial Truck of America, and chatting with me are Bob Vreeland, Fleet Commander for Bottle Logic Brewing, LLC, and Brian Tabel, Executive Director of Marketing for Isuzu Commercial Truck of America. Today, we're going to start with Bob at Bottle Logic. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How's it going?
Things are great. So first, we want to go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about your business. Can you tell me a little bit about what Bottle Logic does?
Yeah, so we are a small craft brewery over here in Anaheim, California. We specialize in a lot of things. We are known mainly for our barrel aging program. It's called the Stasis Project. A lot of high octane barrel aged beers that we'll take the beer, we'll put it into a barrel, let it sit for anywhere from 9 months to as long as 4 years. And people seem to enjoy it. People like what we're doing. We also do IPAs, lagers, just about everything under the sun. We self-distribute throughout California and Arizona with little drops worldwide. We've ended up in Denmark before for festivals and events.
That's great. So how many vehicles do you operate in total?
So we have 5 vehicles and a trailer right now. So we have our refrigerated cargo van, which was the distribution vehicle that we initially had, which then transitioned over to the puller vehicle for our mobile food trailer. And then we have 3 Class 5 refrigerated trucks, and then we also have a Class 7 refrigerated truck.
Awesome. And so how are your vehicles mainly utilized?
So all of our vehicles are utilized for distribution in some manner. We have the 3 Class 5 trucks that are primarily used for deliveries throughout Southern California. Occasionally we'll make trips up to Central California, we'll make trips out to Arizona, but all of our trucks are also utilized for events. So what we can do is use them as tap trucks, mobile bars.
Okay.
Because they're refrigerated, it's a mobile cold box. We can put the beer into the truck and then pour it out of the side of the truck.
That's fun.
Yes.
All right. And so let's talk a little bit about the folks that drive for you. What are their days like?
Their days typically start in the morning. What we'll do is we have our own little cold box, and the drivers will get in, they'll get their routes for the day. Everything's digital now. So they have their routes, they have their pick sheets, load the truck, and then go make the deliveries. And again, we self-distribute anywhere from, if you're familiar with Southern California, we go out to as far as Woodland Hills, we'll go out to Coachella the other way, and then we'll go all the way down to the border, and then everything else in between.
That's a pretty vast region.
Yeah, it's quaint.
And you've got a lot of different types of routes in that too, a little bit more stretches of highways, some more kind of suburban driving, as well as inner city.
Yeah, it's a nice conglomerate of highway, inner city, rural even. It's a good mix.
Awesome. Well, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's talk about your truck. We hear it's called Izzy. How did the idea for Izzy come about?
So being that we're in Anaheim, Isuzu's actually headquartered in Anaheim, and a few of them frequent the tap room, after work or whatever. And so we had just purchased our first box truck, and I noticed when I was walking to the tasting room, there were a bunch of folks there with the Isuzu polos on, and striking up a conversation as one does within a tap room or a tasting room. I was talking to them about the truck that we got, and long story short, it ended up having a conversation over, hey, what could we do to build out something that would stand out in the industry. And a few more meetings later, we manifested Izzy.
That's awesome. Can you share some details about what makes Izzy unique?
So Izzy is really unique. So, like as I mentioned before, we did have the tap system in the side of the truck. Basically, it was let's find a a sawzall, cut a hole in the side of the truck, and just kind of piece it together. It wasn't manufactured for the pouring of beer at festivals. It was manufactured just kind of hodgepodge. And what we did with the Izzy is we made everything in one. We didn't have to build out the system. We didn't have to tear down the system. Everything was self-contained. Izzy on the side of the truck has the shadow box. I fold up the shadow box, and inside the taps are ready to go. Inside the truck, all the lines are already run. CO2 tank's already there. Literally just pull up, roll out the awning, open the door, done.
That's awesome.
Purpose-built truck for both the distribution that we do and for the events that we have.
Makes a lot of sense. We already talked about this a little bit, but there's anything else that went into why you selected Isuzu specifically for this venture?
Yeah, and being California, we went for the hybrid truck, and there was a nice little rebate attached to it, and that's basically what drew us to it. But in hindsight, nothing really worked out. Even with the rebate, we're still losing money. The Isuzu gets better gas mileage than the hybrid.
That's amazing.
And there's no batteries, there's no electric engine to take away from the cargo aspect. You can only have 19,500 pounds on the ground. So if it's taken by beer or if it's taken by batteries, you're limited to that number.
So do you plan on having any other unique vehicles added to your fleet in the future?
Absolutely. So this project has opened the gateway to having a single vehicle if we ever do plan to open up hubs for Arizona or San Francisco or Sacramento. Now we can utilize the one vehicle as a sales vehicle, as an event vehicle. We don't need to purchase a bunch of different things. We can just have the one truck, and it will be the truck for that area. So we wouldn't, no jockey boxes, none of that. We just have the truck, and it would be the truck.
That's awesome. A real one size fits all for what you're looking for.
Yeah, we can use it. It's fuel efficient enough to use as a sales call vehicle. It's nice to use as a on-site sales. Hey, I have this in the back of my truck. I can get it for you now. Done. Amazon can't beat that.
That's awesome. So looking a little bit more timely right now, with the coronavirus pandemic preventing people from going out as much, how do you plan on keeping things safe when your truck is on the road and as things start to kind of reopen and move forward?
So we have a safety procedure that we do when the drivers get in the morning. Masks are obviously required for when we're inside, buildings and when we are congregated together. But as far as sanitation process, the trucks are all wiped down every day before they start. Inside, outside, grab handles, any touch points on the vehicle. Inside the cab, the steering wheel, dash, radio, all that gets wiped down at the beginning of the day, as well as the hand trucks that the drivers utilize to deliver the beer. While out on route, masks are required inside of accounts, keep everybody nice and safe. We practice social distancing whenever we can, even in small little liquor stores where it's nice and condensed. We still try to keep as much distance as possible. And then at the end of the day, same thing, re-sanitize everything on the truck. And just try to be as safe as possible. Once events do start back up, whatever recommendations are in place, we will definitely be following.
It's about all we can do right now.
Yeah. Events. You guys remember events?
One day again in the future, I think we'll see that happening. Fingers crossed. So Where do you plan on driving Izzy, this particular truck? We kind of briefly talked about it a little bit, but where is Izzy going to be driving around and hanging out?
So Izzy is utilized primarily now as the distribution truck. So in any given week, she can go throughout our whole distribution network. So she can be in up in Victorville. She can be in downtown Los Angeles, San Diego. On a normal week, we'll probably put about 700 miles on the truck.
Wow.
And yeah, any kind of environment. It's going up and over Cajon Pass. It's going through the middle of a suburban downtown area. And then it's cruising on interstate, going 70 miles an hour. Yeah, a little workhorse.
So when you were actually speccing, we talked about the original iteration of Izzy and some of the challenges you had. When you started to work with Isuzu to spec Izzy, what were some of the challenges that you faced to get exactly what you wanted out of her?
So it's a super unique truck, and like we said, we've had a tap truck, but we haven't had purpose-built tap trucks. So it was nice to have a resource with Brian over here at Isuzu, because he had the list of vendors that can get stuff done. He knew truck body manufacturers. He knew custom design companies. It's got the awning on the side, so you have to have the RV, manufacturer. It's a whole bucket of vendors that he can go to try to figure out and get exactly what we needed for this truck. It's very unique truck, but it was nice to have that aspect. And then flipping the coin, Isuzu came to us to get all the beer stuff figured out, the regulators, the faucets, the beer tubing. And yeah, it was, if you're specialized in something, and it's okay to ask for help,
Right.
They know trucks, I know beer, it works.
I think that's a great, concept to be able to have that partnership in building these vehicles together and leaning on each other's expertise to get exactly what you want. That's going to be the best vehicle that can hit the road.
Yeah, and it works. It's been nice to beta test the truck. So we've had the truck in our possession for almost 2 years now, give or take. And when we first got the truck, there was little things that I could recommend once it went full nationwide, it would be beneficial for folks who did end up using the truck.
It's pretty clear any fleet can have a unique truck. What most excited you about partnering with Bottle Logic?
Well, my love affair for beer, most certainly, and in talking with them and some other breweries, solving their problem of having to have two different vehicles, or a vehicle and a trailer, was fun for me. And so utilizing my resources of building trucks and working with different body companies and upfitters across the country, learned of them having this problem and trying to solve it was fun. So having a purpose delivery truck and a purpose event truck all in one certainly saves the brewery money in the long term with employee costs and vehicle costs, for sure.
That makes sense. So what kind of work went into planning this truck?
Well, once I learned of the opportunity that was out there, I went to some of the different body companies and different upfitters to try and solve this problem and see what happened. And so over probably 60 days, was able to find those resources. Went back to Bob and kind of laid out the game plan, and it seemed pretty reasonable to him, and we made some changes throughout, and we built everything in a CAD drawing to determine how it would work out, and ultimately ended up building what Bottle Logic calls Izzy, as they name all their vehicles in their fleet. But building Izzy and putting it, and we debuted the truck a little over 2 years ago at the Craft Brewers Association meeting in Denver, and it was a huge hit, and have sold a number of trucks since, and have enjoyed this part of it.
That's wonderful. If other companies are interested in having a vehicle custom built, how difficult would it be?
It's just it depends on what it is, but yeah, a fun project that I'm actually working on right now is combining our Izzy, or the brewery truck, in with a pizza oven truck. So we have an interest of somebody that wants to put a pizza oven from Italy, also combining it with a brewery truck for their restaurant, and having it for events and different things like that. So again, another fun thing. But in regards to it, there's a lot of other things that can go on the back of the chassis. Like I always used to like to say, is that we have the chassis, we can build anything on there on the back of it that you like. So we'll try and make that happen for anybody.
Well, pizza, beer, and a Isuzu sounds like a perfect combination right there.
For sure.
Can you provide some examples of a few other unique trucks that you've helped come to life over the years?
Isuzu's pretty big in landscaping. There's been a lot of iterations with the landscape industry that we've done different things. One of the most recent ones is home delivery vehicles. So working with some of the different partners in regards to building different home delivery vehicles, both grocery and your internet purchase vehicles. And then also, vehicle, nobody wants to go to a dealership anymore. They want their vehicle brought to them by truck. So working with some of those home delivery companies to build a vehicle that is purpose built for a new industry. So a lot of changes, a lot of opportunities going forward for sure.
Definitely seeing the growth of e-commerce right now as a big push in growth and change within the truck market.
Yeah, absolutely.
What advice do you have for fleets looking to custom build a option for their business?
Kind of like with Bottle Logic, we build trucks. We know how to do that pretty well, and they know beer. So how can we combine the two to make things happen and improve for an industry? And we feel that we were able to do that with the brewery industry. And also in regards to the brewery industry is something that we helped build is a new hops truck. So when they're doing the harvesting for the hops, there's a purpose-built truck for that. So again, utilizing our ability with our truck and the partners that we have in upfitting to bring those two together to help improve businesses within any business. Here's two examples just within the brewery industry, but nevertheless with any industry at all.
That's interesting. It's great to hear that Isuzu's helping beer come to fruition from the hops to the actual serving of the beer. This is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for a little bit of fun, obviously this truck came about with a visit to the tap room. So what's your favorite Bottle Logic brew?
Well, easy for me to say. I don't, believe it or not, don't like bourbon, but they make a lot of different bourbon beers, part of their Stasis projects, and so I pretty much love them all. But probably the one that I partial to was one they came out with last year, was called Gap Year. I really enjoy that. It's a good Snickers bourbon flavor beer. So that would be my favorite at this point.
We're known for being heavily rotational. So we have a core series of beer that will brew, fairly regularly. We have a portfolio of about 700 different recipes that we've brewed since our manifestation, but I get the opportunity to try all these, from the actual tank, not in a keg or a glass, but from the actual brewing tank. I gravitate more toward the lighter beers, your pilsners, your lagers. But my favorite's 714. It's a nice everyday drinking, just beer flavored beer. That's the term nowadays.
It makes sense.
Yeah, you don't have to think. You don't have to think about it. It's fuzzy yellow beer.
I'll have to check it out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Bob and Brian. I really do appreciate your time today. And thanks to everybody who tuned in to Truck Chat. Stay tuned for our next episode.